In this video I'm just going to talk briefly about formula use in Excel and introduce the use of formulas to answer the first couple of requirements for exercise 2.1. You can see that I'm in a document called Week 4 Exercises Answer Stub, and if you haven't already started this question, I suggest you download this document from Blackboard. It might make life just a little bit easier for you. You can see down here the data files for the other two questions are already available in this workbook as well. So getting back to exercise 2.1, the first thing that we need to do is calculate the sum of all the X scores. So I'm going to left click down here in cell C8 and get a formula started by typing equals. In this case I want to find the sum, so I've typed a function named sum. I'm going to open a bracket and then select the cells that I want to sum and then close a bracket and enter, and Excel does the calculation for us. To calculate the mean, we could do something similar. There's a function in Excel called average which is designed to calculate the arithmetic mean. So having typed equals, the function name, open a bracket, I will then highlight these cells that I wanted to average, and you see that I get an answer of 2. But I'm going to demonstrate something a little bit different here, and that is the mean is the sum of all the X scores divided by the number of scores. So I'm going to type a formula that does that. I've started the formula with equals. I'm going to left click on 10, which was the sum that we calculated previously. I'm then going to use the / key to divide, and then left click on cell B7, which contains 5, the number of scores in this data set. And having done that, hit enter, and we get the same result as we did previously using the average function. In Excel, you want to use Excel's power as much as possible by copying formulas rather than having to retype repetitively. So here I've just highlighted the 2 cells in which formulas were just typed. I'm hovering over the bottom right hand corner. I'm now going to drag that across to the right to copy your formulas across. Whenever you do this, it's always a good idea to just check that what you've copied across is actually what you intended. So I will double click on this cell, D8, and it's calculating a sum of these cells highlighted. That's exactly what I wanted, so that's working fine. Down in cell D9, I'm going to double click on it, and now I have a problem. I wanted the sum of all the Y scores now, and that's what it's giving me in this D8, but when it comes to dividing by the number of scores, it's actually referring to this cell, but I want it to be referring to this cell, which is the actual number of scores. Now the problem here is that I typed a bad formula back here. Knowing that I was planning to copy this formula across, I should have actually put a $sign in front of the B there, and that $sign locks the reference to column B, so when I copy this formula across the row, the reference, the column reference here won't change. It'll always stay locked into column B. Notice here that I haven't got the $sign in front of C, and so let's see what happens when I copy that formula across. So there it is there. We've got 3 there at the moment as the mean for Y. When I copy this formula across, we've seen a change here. It's now 2.4, and let's see what happened. Back here we had C8. The formula has done D8, and it's referring to the one that I do want it to. With the $sign, it's stayed locked on column B, which is what I wanted. So now the formula has been fixed by including this $sign, which makes an absolute reference to column B. Okay, moving across to this next column, what we're required to do here is to subtract the mean from each individual X score. So on this row, that's the X value of the observation minus the mean, which is we just calculated down here, I'm going to hit enter, and again I'm going to try to be as efficient as possible by copying that formula down. Having done that, I'm going to double click on this cell just to see what it's doing, and that doesn't look it doesn't look right. So it is actually referring to the right x value, but the mean that it's trying to use is down here, and it's referring to an empty cell. So clearly I didn't learn my lesson back here with absolute references. What I should have done in this formula, knowing that I was planning to copy it down this column, was to put a $sign there in front of the 9. This will fix the reference so that no matter where I drag this formula to down this column, Excel will always go looking in row 9 to get this part of the formula. So I'll come back on this cell, hover over the bottom right hand corner, drag and drop, and let's just have a look at that bottom cell there to see if it's doing the right thing. Yep, the problem seems to have been fixed. So it's referring to the x value in this row and subtracting the mean that we require. Moving to the next column, so this one just wants the deviation from the mean, which is the mean subtracted away from each individual x score, squared. And the simplest way to do this would just be to write a formula that refers to the value that we just calculated. So I'll left click on that, put in the caret symbol, which designates to the power of, type in 2 to square it, and then I'm going to copy that formula down. Check that Excel is doing what I hoped it would, and down here, yes it is. Here I want that number squared, and that's exactly what Excel is doing for me. So notice I didn't need any absolute references there. No $signs are appearing in my formula. Finally, we need sums for these two columns, and because I've got a sum formula here, I'm just going to copy that one across. Double click on that. It's summing the numbers that I would hope. Okay, so the rest of this exercise is going to require you to do similar things. In the remainder of this spreadsheet, you have various columns that you need to fill out. Ideally, you'll type a formula in the first row and then just copy that down. And to get the sums, you can probably just drag that formula right across this row. Just when you're doing this part of the exercise, I'll draw your attention to this Word document. It's called Week 4 Program. You can get it from Blackboard, and it was also distributed in the workshop. On the screen now, you can see the formulas highlighted in red that I think you need to refer to when you're doing the balance of exercise 2.1. Okay, well, now it's over to you. Good luck, and I hope the balance of exercise 2.1 goes smoothly.